Hey guys and gals, some out there have been wondering why snowblower engines and lawn equipment too, how come the engines no longer say horsepower ratings? Well, this goes back a couple of decades ago, and what ended up happening was you could be at a store, maybe Lowe's, Home Depot, whoever's selling snowblowers for example, and see a snowblower with an engine on it, and then see another brand of a snowblower with an identical engine sitting on it, and both would be labeled differently in terms of horsepower. For example, one might say 5.5 horsepower, and then the other engine may say 7. So what we basically have here is companies falsely advertising. And you as the average consumer, think about it, which one would you gravitate more towards? Probably the one with the higher horsepower rating, even though the engines are identical. And they might even have the same displacement as well in terms of cc's. So what ended up happening was there was a lawsuit that took place because these companies were falsely advertising. And then they said you can only put items on the engine that are truly measurable, such as the displacement in cc's and other things like the torque rating. So that's why you see here on the engines, it says now the cc's, for example, this one's 252 cc's with 12.5 foot-pounds of torque. So basically the EPA had their way and all you see now is cc's and foot-pounds of torque. Now the other question is how much horsepower can you gauge the engine has basically based off of their cc rating? Well, generally speaking, in most cases, from what I've seen, horsepower ratings are usually 32.5 cc's for 1 horsepower. So if we take something like this engine at 252 cc's and divide that by 32.5 for 1 horsepower, well, that's going to come out to roughly about 7.75 horsepower, which is about right for this size engine.